Hi, good afternoon. I'm Michael Gall. I'm the superintendent of the Colorado Springs School District 11. I'd like to introduce Dr. Parthmel Packham and Fire Chief and Fire Marshal Randy Royal and Brett Lacey are here today. We're here to communicate the pending closure of Jenkins Middle Schools effective at the end of the day on January 17th. This has been a long, ongoing situation with a structural challenge that we've had at Jenkins Middle School that is now impacting our fire prevention challenges at Jenkins Middle School. We appreciate the partnership of both the local Colorado Springs Fire Department and their state affiliates. We want to communicate to our families, to our staff, and most importantly to our students that your safety is critical to every decision that we make. And it is now time for us to fix the ills of this building that have been displaying these challenges for well over a decade. We have the money, we have the authority, and we have the intention for Jenkins Middle School to reopen as soon as possible. For those with questions, Jenkins Middle School will continue. Jenkins students for 6th grade will be moving to Russell Middle School with their teachers, and Jenkins Middle School's 7th and 8th graders will move to Doherty High School with their teachers, both effective on Thursday of next week. We will allow our staff at Jenkins, Doherty, and Russell 2 days next week on Tuesday and Wednesday to relocate their classrooms in order to facilitate the continuity of instruction for our Jenkins students. I'd like to now ask our Fire Chief and Fire Marshal for a comment.
Hey, so Fire Chief Randy Royal. So this, as the superintendent shared, this is a situation that we've been aware of for a while, but has been proactively taken care of through their facility staff. We've been happy with the recommendations that we've made, but it really comes down to what we will call, or I will call, a sick building getting sicker. So basically, it's gotten to the point that the modifications and things that we could do are a point that they're not solving the problem. So with that, and again, echoing the superintendent's words, the safety of the students that go there and the staff that works there is our top priority, and that's why we've made the decision to move this forward. We initially had an inspection in December where our fire inspector saw some of the changes that we were needing to address. We did, on the fire prevention side, take some actions at that point to ensure the safety while we looked at the building further. And so that's why it's taken from that moment, which was in late December, to now to get to the point that we're making the decision that the best thing for everybody involved is to close the school until the repairs can be made.
Dr. Malpacum?
Parthmel Packham, President, Board of Education. So first, I want to reiterate what Superintendent Gall said, the safety and the security of our students are of the utmost priority. I was made aware of the situation last week when I got a phone call from the mayor, along with the fire marshal and the fire chief were on the line to let me know the situation that they found in the latest fire inspection. And since then, we have done everything possible to comply with what the fire department wanted us to do. We have a third-party engineering firm that has been hired to provide a detailed structural analysis of that building, along with the fire codes, and we are awaiting that report. I am a Jenkins dad. My child attended Jenkins just a couple of years back, so I am aware of some of these structural issues that are there with Jenkins, and the board had proactively, along with the district, set aside money to fix this issue. All indications were that we have the time till 26, 27, I'm talking about 2026 and 2027 to fix this issue, but in the latest fire inspection, that timeline got pushed up. So it is the commitment of the board to spend the necessary money and the resources to permanently fix this problem at Jenkins. So when we open that building up, whenever that is, it's going to be in the near future, that is going to be taken care of. We will defer to the experts and let them take a complete analysis of the building and then come and let us know what the next steps are going to be. But all money and resources will be set aside to fix this problem. And in the meantime, I appreciate the fire department working with us and all the entities from the state as well. In the last 6 days, I've had numerous opportunities to talk to them and the mayor and all the parties involved, and the communication has been top-notch. And then I want to thank the superintendent and his team. Operationally, this is not an easy solution when you come and say, hey, we need to figure out a solution for 800 students. They have worked over the weekend and put considerable amount of time and effort to make sure that our students' education is not going to be compromised. There may be a minor disruption in terms of student learning for a couple of days when we have to close the schools, but our students' education is going to be prioritized. We stand for excellence, and we are not going to compromise that. That's about it. So we'll open it up for questions.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that you found out about this last week. It appears this inspection happened in mid-December.
Yeah, so we've known about this since mid-December. We've been working parallel efforts since mid-December. One has been, can we mitigate and get the building to a place where we provide the appropriate safety while we get to the end of the school year. At the same time, we were running parallel efforts that says we don't know if engineers and the fire department will say that the building is able to be operated safely, which has allowed us to get to this operational space where we are now, where we have to dislocate the students. So we have been aware since this inspection in December. We've been crawling through that building. We've hired an external engineering firm. We chose to not communicate to our families until we got to a place where we were much closer to that decision, and that communication went out yesterday. We sent a letter to our community as we entered into this final week of when the building would be open for normal instruction.
Right. What message do you have, though, for those parents that might be feeling frustrated that they didn't have much notice for this?
So the notice is they have now until next Thursday when school opens again. So that's that's nearly 10 days worth of notice. It's very difficult to communicate what we don't know to be for a fact. It's not a mystery of anybody who's gone to Jenkins that there have been issues for some time. For over a decade, we've had several different structural analyses and past fire inspections. We're just at a place now where the dynamic nature of this issue has gotten to a place where we want to be in front of it and not behind it. Anybody who's watched the news lately can see what happens when communities are not prepared. And if I'm just thinking about what's happened out west, we don't want to be that when we see our partners in the Colorado Springs Fire Department and the city and the state of which they report for as our partners in this. And so how you communicate and when you communicate, we are where we are, and we feel strong in our communications campaign and the plan that we have forward. We'll be hosting a town hall this evening at Doherty High School for parents. Again, another one on Thursday night for parents at Doherty for our Jenkins families. And then again, finally again next week, a final one on Tuesday night of next week, Wednesday night of next week.
And I apologize if this was clarified, but you mentioned that you have the money to fix this. Can you tell us where exactly that money is coming from in your budget? And do you have an estimation? I know it's probably difficult so early, but do you have an estimation of how long this
So
will
what I can tell you is that when I arrived 2 years ago, I actually walked Jenkins Middle School as part of my interview in May of 22, and I saw the challenges presented by that building. I was immediately assured that we've had structural engineers and that it's cosmetic. There's been some settling. All those things have now led us to where we are today. But on that day, I said, we need to take care of this. And hats off to the team that we run a 5-year capital budget, which means we program our capital dollars 5 years in a row. And we had planned to repair the Jenkins Middle School in the summer of 27. We're now moving that money forward. So we've reserved $10 million plus for the original estimation. Is that going to be enough? I'm going to let the expert tell us if that's enough. I think the other great thing about District 11 is we have a robust capital reserve in case of these type of emergencies. We carry a $20 million plus operational reserve for emergencies. So you do that math. I've got 10 set aside. There's 20 in the bank in case of emergencies. That $30 million is more than enough for us to assure either the remediation or the rebuild of that section of Jenkins Middle School. I just have to reiterate, the safety and the importance of that instructional time for our students is the most important item. People will read into this and say, you don't care about the safety of students. We've been crawling that building for the last month There's people who've just been in parts of that building that haven't seen a human being since it was built in 1999 to make sure the building's safe. It's not that it's not unsafe on Friday. It's that we have to draw a line in the sand that says, when are we going to now say it's time to fix the building? I think the great opportunity is we're starting to fix the building in January, not waiting until the summer. So that allows us to be ready for full 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as soon as that's completed, hopefully by August. And if not, we've bought 6 more months of construction time that we wouldn't have had if we waited a little bit longer.
Can you talk about transportation? Like, will buses be available for students? Because it might be like a longer commute than, where they're used to, or if kids are used to walking to school and now they have a further,
Yes,
location.
so we're going to work through all those details. Those will come out in the information nights again tonight at 6 o'clock, Thursday at 6 o'clock, and next Wednesday at 6 o'clock at Doherty High School. And the schools will be individually reaching out to families. We actually don't have a lot of students that take the bus to Jenkins Middle School, so one, will ask parents who drive their kids to Jenkins to now just drive them to the other location. If you can't do that, please get your kid to Jenkins. We have a series of buses that will transport students from Jenkins to their new instructional location and then back, right? So we will solve the transportation issue as the family needs us to.
Okay, great. And then also, why is it that these other schools have the capacity to, accept all of these new students? Like, you guys clearly have enough room for classrooms and increased class sizes, or can you talk about that?
Yeah, District 11 has been losing enrollment steadily over the last generation. We're down nearly a third of our students. We peaked out near 30,000 students, probably just over about 15 years ago, and we're now roughly about 23,000 students. We have not taken a school closure strategy in trying to rectify some of the challenges of the district. We feel that the quality of instruction is based upon the relationship between the student and the teacher. And fortunately, we have a little bit of maneuverability in some of those buildings to accommodate. Each one of those buildings is going to make sacrifices. So yeah, we're talking about Jenkins, but let's please include our Doherty and our Russell community, particularly those staff who are going to be asked to share classrooms. So no, that doesn't mean we're putting 50 kids in a classroom, but it does mean when you're on your planning period, kids are coming in to be taught in that space. So we have to just think about space differently because this is an emergency situation. Yes, this is something that we've been in partnership with the fire department, but again, watching some of the natural disasters around our country, what makes District 11 great is we're all leaning in together to solve this problem. Our staff in all 3 of those schools, I was just with our middle school principals, and they all said, how can we help? What can we help? And I said, please, if you've got other staff who want to come over and support and create more opportunity for students, if you've got somebody in your front office that can help as a registrar or help deal with attendance, yeah, we've got some logistics to get through, but we have the team that can do this.
Circling back to the price of this, I know you guys said you guys have saved, you also have a robust capital reserves. Does this mean that taxpayers will not be asked to provide any more money?
That's correct. We believe we have the money in order to take care of this problem internally. I'm going to stop it there because I'm not the design expert. I will say to you, we were talking about this earlier. The building's built too close to the creek. Why was the building built so close to the creek? Because the rest of that lot was saved for a high school. So a generation ago, when we built Jenkins High School, we thought we were building a brand new high school right across the lot on that same space. So yes, there was built both close to the creek. We've had some freeze thaws, some runoff issues over the year. I'll let the experts make that recommendation of how do you fortify that the building has settled several inches more than they think it should have over the last 25 years.
And the goal is to reopen by school year?
Our goal is for August, and again, I will put my disclaimer on, we have Jensen Hughes right now as a third-party assessment to tell us what are the challenges, and then we'll have to hire for a design build to remediate the challenges in the building.
So we're going to defer to the experts, let them go and do the job and come back with a recommendation, and that recommendation will be certified and confirmed by the Colorado Springs Fire Department, at which point in time, all entities are going to let us know that it's safe to get students back and the staff back. That's when we will enter the buildings.
And can you ensure or go back to kind of faculty, there haven't been any layoffs through this at all? Or is that still kind of in circulation? I know you said they're going with their teachers, but is that all their teachers?
Yeah, it's all their teachers. So our strategy in District 11 is very short. The number one way to student achievement is access to high quality instruction, and parents pick Jenkins for the quality of that instruction. The guarantee is your student and teacher are going to the new location. We will compensate our teachers for that time. We're providing the moving supplies, the trucks. I'm asking nobody to work over this 3-day weekend. We're going to close those 3 schools on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week to accommodate for that shift. It's going to be frigidly and dangerously cold this weekend, and it happens to be a holiday weekend. Our staff needs the chance to be able to decompress and prepare for the challenges ahead. Our secret in District 11 is the strength of our instruction. We're bringing that instruction on a deployed opportunity due to the unfortunate situation in the building.
And I guess one question for the fire department, why is this happening halfway through the school year instead of back in August?
Yeah, so, and I'll defer to the fire marshal here in just a second, but it's really his timing on inspections. And so the inspection, which is an annual inspection, so every year we get into every school within our community. And it just so happened that that one fell in December, which raised the flags to what we're seeing.
That's pretty much it. So we're responsible for inspecting all of the school districts and all of the schools in town, and all of you know that's a large number. And so in order to get all those inspections done, we do it within the year that everybody's working in the districts, and so we can go through and see what's going on in the schools at the time inspections are conducted. And that's exactly right. It was the time on the calendar for this school to be inspected at that time. And once the inspector got in, noticed the issues that had changed significantly since the prior inspection, that was when we were notified, as far as me, the fire marshal, and her direct supervisors and boss. And so we came out and evaluated those issues and determined the need for working on correcting this along with the school district.
And
just so we get it, on audio, can you talk about like the separation of the walls and kind of the things you were actually seeing?
Sure, the problem, and so it's important for everybody to understand that this has to be looked at in 2 different buckets, is the way I am intending to converse about this. So one is the fire protection features, which that is what the fire code is, and my authority surrounds, is fire protection. The other one is structural issues, not my responsibility, not in my code. So my fire inspector came out, observed openings in doors, which are fire doors that are required to be closed in quarter. Keep in mind this facility is not fire sprinklered. So it was built just before fire sprinklers were required to be put in the schools of this size. So we rely solely on passive, what we call passive fire protection. That means fire barriers and doors that automatically close. So if a fire starts in one part of the school or the building, it remains isolated by that construction until everybody can be alerted through the fire alarm system to be moved out. And so once she observed that there were too many penetrations between rooms and potentially the way the walls have separated. In prior times, we noticed this happening more significantly in the fire barriers back in 2013. And there were remedies that were able to be done by caulking and sealing of the fire penetrations. But it reached a point where that wasn't any longer workable. So that was why we came out to examine that. So because of the fire protection issues is why the Colorado Springs Fire Department became involved. We then reached out to the folks who are really responsible, because as a state facility, we work as an agent per se for the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. We contacted them, had their inspectors come down basically to observe what we saw because of the actions we felt were necessary to take. They substantiated that, we're comfortable. Then through my code for structural issues, I am responsible for communicating with the regional building department. They take care of structural issues through the building code. So that's how we're getting to the 2 buckets. And so the building official came over with regional building. They evaluated the structure concerns that we had as well. They looked at that and provided a letter that initiated the conversation about it being a dangerous condition. And then the State Division of Fire Prevention and Control contacted their state building official, who's also in that division. They came down, validated and verified what regional building had observed. So basically all 3 of us had these issues. 2 of them validated the structural components. Those were the building official people. That coupled with the fire protection features that were also being compromised because of the structural movement, that's what necessitated then the decision to go ahead and basically evacuate the school.
I would say, going back to when our fire inspector witnessed the issues with fire protection, we worked together with the district and put in some extra, a fire watch.
Yeah, modified fire watch.
Modified fire watch, which puts more eyes on the situation to kind of mediate that until we could get more information on the building side of it and make the decisions that we had to make.
So I know you guys said that this has been going on for years. Could you give us an idea, like what was the difference between like year 9 to this year of the damage to where it's gotten to the point that it's unsafe?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think it's out of an abundance of caution that I think we looked at the collective nature of how many times can you mitigate until you get to a place where now you've exposed yourself to a place that just isn't healthy. This is a teaching and learning institution. Kids should feel safe. Staff should feel safe. Parents should know that we have safety first and foremost. I believe that an engineering firm will likely say that part of the building is partially occupiable and that maybe we can mitigate. What we want to do is get everybody out in order to ensure that we're not on the news because of a disaster. Blast us on the news all night long because we're having to close the school in January. I'm more than happy to take that question as compared to the how could you let this happen on your watch. We've taken the abundance of caution. This partnership has been strong. It has been consistent. For weeks we've been working these parallel efforts. Can we keep the building open in a safe condition? And if we can't, how do we ensure that our students, our family, and our staff are given the opportunity to demonstrate the learning that they want to in an alternative location? So, is it a millimeter more than it was last year? It definitely continues to progress. And now it's time. It's just time.
Can you
Yeah.
give me an idea though of like what were those remediations? I can't remember the exact word you used.
I think if I try it in layman's terms, we have passive fire protection, which means the fire door has to close. And it doesn't stop the fire. It just gives people more time to evacuate the building. The challenge is anybody living in an older house, your doors don't swing true, so there's a bigger gap on the bottom than there is in the top. How many more times can my team turn a rectangular door into a parallelogram and me convince the fire department that that's safe? We just can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's the way we've mitigated over time. We have been safe, and we are more than safe through Friday. We're probably more than safe for a longer period of time, but we can't expect the fire department to have a moving target on an annual inspection. They gave us 30 days to address this issue. We've brought in experts to be able to present that, and now we're nearing that 30th day. It's time. It's time to get the kids out. It's going to be a longer fix than we had originally thought. We have the dollars, we have the skills. We will fix this building for our community.
I'll say from the fire side, we don't ever want to shut down a business or a school and impact, 800 students. That's not on our radar to do that. But as the superintendent shared, bottom line is ours is safety, right? And so we worked through over the last month the options that we had and really taking detailed look at everything. This is the right thing to do. So.
Is that how many students are being moved? 800?
It's roughly 800. There's about 270-ish in each grade.
Okay.
We're coming up on time, so if there's 2 more questions.
How about some new ones in the back, Eric?
Yeah, Michael, I think you just touched on it there, but how is the rest of this school week going to look? Is there going to be any accommodations or anything for the students and staff
Yeah, we'll be meeting with each one of the affected staffs before school hours, and as you heard, there's a couple of information sessions for parents, but we're going to operate the school normally with our modified fire watch that we've had in place since students came back into school last week, so there's been no exposed level of new risk. We've trained our staff to be able to do that. We're paying people overtime to walk the building. I'll let you talk to the fire department about those codes. We're asking people for the grace to get through this week. And like I said, Tuesday and Wednesday will be days off for us to be able to make those adjustments for our staff. We don't want people working over the weekends to be able to get the time off and protect themselves from the coming weather.
I'm wondering if this building was determined unsafe in the middle of December. I'm curious, you know, why it's gotten to this point and why are students still in there right now? I know you say it's more than safe, but it has been deemed unsafe and it was recommended that immediate action was taken, so why not take the students out now?
Yeah. You want to?
The issue is from the fire code perspective, and me as the fire marshal, I have to encompass decision-making on a whole lot of issues, right? I think one thing that's important to remember is our students are probably the safest population that we have in the United States. They are required to conduct regular fire drills, and they have to evacuate the building. Unlike adults, who typically, when we get older, we suddenly know everything, and we're in an office building, and we don't evacuate when the alarm goes off. So the behavior of the occupants, basically the students with the teachers participating in those drills, provides a higher degree of safety in that respect. The fact that the building has continued to evolve in a downward trend that we've been monitoring, and as the superintendent spoke to, it got to a point where we just need to stop, patchwork quilt type fixes to this and get everybody out to where we can actually fix it for good in one fell swoop. But considering the issues of the disruptions, all of the things in the middle of school, the question was very good about why December instead of during the summer when we can plan for something better. All of these things come into play. I want to be sensitive too. We just came out of this cool thing called COVID, and that wrecked a lot of people's lives. It messed with a lot of the students and the parents of trying to jostle with work and school. And so we were trying to be as workable as we could, never compromising the safety of the students, and giving time for adjusting on the plans. We wanted to get the engineering firm in here to do a better look. So when we do an inspection, it's more of a walkthrough of identifying more basic issues that are fire code violations. Okay, the issues that we saw become more prevalent in overall fire petitions and the walls and things. That's going to require a much more extensive survey. That is where it is my responsibility at that time to mandate a more technical survey and detailed survey by an engineering firm to come in and really look at those things. And that requires time to get the contracts done, get the people in. So I have to be cognizant that I've got to give a facility time. If there was ever an issue where the children or staff were immediately at risk, saying in an emergency, have no fear, we would not hesitate for a minute. We do that routinely in town, whether a result of fires or hazardous materials incidents. We will evacuate anybody who is definitely in harm's way. This has been going on for a while. We realize the building is to a point of it's no longer safe. It's time to get out. We'll do it in a measured way so that everybody can be accommodated to the best degree possible.